So I am so pleased to be here and just want to make a couple remarks. And then you've got a huge, wonderful lineup of really important Kegels already doing this work. And I want you to get to them, even to our WMAL, WNAL rock stars. So I'll be quick in getting some opening remarks, and then I'm happy to talk about anything that we're doing in the governor's office to support making sure that what was on that piece of paper is a reality, that every parent, every family in the Commonwealth has the opportunity to have their child access an education that prepares them for success in life. So we say three things. If you go into my office, and you go to any of the offices of my team, there is a big wheel on it, and it says the guiding principles of a Virginia education. When we came into office, and you can find this if you go onto our website on the governor's office, governor's team, or if you Google commitment to Virginians. And this wheel talks about the guiding principles that literally we look to when we make any policy decision. And at the top of that wheel is high expectations for every single student in Virginia at all ages. One of the other pieces that, and there are 12 or 13 on the wrap, I just list a couple of them. The other one is that parents will make the decisions about the health, well-being, and education of their child because parents know that. And the third piece is to say one size does not fit all. And we know, as the proclamation says, that different students and learners are different learners and they have different needs. And anyone that has more than one child in their life knows this is accurate, right? That kids need different ways to thrive. And we also know from the data, and I'm a data girl, that when we look at the data, it's not working, having everybody have access to the same, this is how we're going to do it. And we need to just unleash opportunity in all kinds of ways, in all different ways of doing this, and make sure that Virginia has options so that parents can make the right decisions and that our students get what they need. Oh, that's so much better. Thank you. And that our students, I can't even count myself, that students have what they need so they are on track to thrive, and not only in school, but in life after school. So let me just give you a couple things about this to build on what Ginny said, who is just so delightful and is one of our great advocates in Virginia for all this that we just talked about. And I had the pleasure of having Ginny as a friend for 15, 20 years, I think, at this point. So it's so great being in the Commonwealth. I want to highlight, we are, as you know, it's a session. It's a short session this time in Richmond, which means we do the same amount of work, same number of bills in only 45 days rather than 60 days. Which means don't walk across any streets in Richmond because nobody is sleeping and it's dangerous. So just look both ways before you cross. But I have to tell you the two highlights of a very rough session where a lot of things are being voted out, and one of the things that are really good for families, parents, and students. But the two highlights for me, and I'll share them with you, have to do with what we were just talking about. The first one was when we were able to host 170 homeschool families in the governor's office, where he's at 2 weeks ago. I think all of you have been following Senator Pekarsky's bill to really limit homeschooling. And she kept claiming this was fake news. This is not about taking out homeschooling. And then her other secret substitution bill came out, and it turned out it was exactly that. I'll throw the punchline, that bill was voted down. And I'll tell you last night, which is great news. And I'll tell you why it was. Because the homeschool community showed up in Richmond, and we had an event where we heard from students, we heard from moms and dads, and we heard from people saying, let me tell you why, as a mom, a dad, a student, I'm homeschooling and why it matters, and the quality of education that our children are getting in homeschool. Again, outperforming our public school students again. And then they went to the General Assembly and walked through the hallways and walked and met with members of the General Assembly. And there is nothing more moving than hearing these students and a mom and a dad to talk about what's working for their child in education. And I would argue the reason this bill was voted down is because of the power of those voices. And those are the power of the voices that you all represent every day. And I just encourage you to keep wearing the yellow scarves, not just this week, but keep making your voice heard because it matters. And it is the most powerful voice. So let me tell you the second time that I just was so inspired is, as Jenny mentioned, the governor put into his budget $50 million to launch for the first time ever in Virginia an opportunity scholarship that would provide, as Jenny said, $5,000 to 10,000 students who are some of our most economically disadvantaged families who don't have great options and their neighborhood school is not working for them. And this provides this opportunity for families to make a decision. I want my child to go someplace that works better for them. And I should preface this by saying, the governor, since day one coming into office, has been focused on how do we ensure that all of our schools are preparing all of our children for success. And I could talk forever about lots of the work that we're doing about raising standards, changing our assessment system, replacing our very Byzantine accreditation system with a true school performance and support system that will now tell Virginians how every school is serving every student, and then target resources, additional resources to the schools that need it the most, to the students, the schools, the communities that need the most help to get their students back on track to success. And we have a lot of them, as Nathan just mentioned, that we can see through the APE scores. But we can't ask families to wait for us to get our job done and get those schools to all be distinguished schools serving all kids. And so it's immoral to tell parents, well, just wait for us to make sure we fix everything while your child doesn't get what he or she needs. And so the scholarship is incredibly important, and it would change things. And we know that states all around us are doing this. Tennessee, Maryland, DC, right? The Opportunity Scholarship, Jane was just telling me she was at an event this week, the 20-year anniversary of the DC Opportunity Scholarship Program. Maryland started it 3, 4, 5 years ago, I think. And we can't get it done in Virginia. This is crazy, right? Places that are much more blue than we are, and this should not be a political thing. This is about children and about unleashing opportunity and meeting families' needs. And we gathered faith leaders from across the Commonwealth that run schools, but we had an incredible outpouring of faith leaders 3 weeks ago announcing this bill and talking about why the schools that they are running and the populations that they're serving need this now. Because they don't have options. And this is about unleashing hope and unleashing opportunity. But the most important thing I saw that week is the next week there was testimony on the bill. And one of our faith leaders brought his community center in to testify. And there was a line out the door of probably 50 members in this community that testified. The youngest testifier was 7 years old. She was dressed in her finest frock. And she told those senators exactly why she needed this scholarship, and it was awesome. And so again, that one, we do not have the good news we need yet, but we need to hear from everybody about why families deserve this, why our children deserve this, and why we need more opportunities like this. But let me also just share some other great news. You know, the EISTC that my husband and I are really proud to be sponsors of, and I hope there are other folks in here that as you do your year-end giving or just giving, think about putting money into this CAC scholarship credit that goes to support scholarships to private schools. We are working every day to protect that. There are forces in the General Assembly that every year are trying to take this down. And we need a show of force to show that this is a program that is working and that, again, is opening doors to opportunity for our students. Second of all, there's just a phenomenal news about our increase in micro schools, in homeschooling, and in the number of students that are going into private schools as well. All of these, since the pandemic, as you know, have just been growing. We now have 62,000 Virginia families that are homeschooling, which is an incredible growth. And micro schools are exploding. We're one of the top states in the nation for micro schools. So it's just good things happening. And there's this spirit and movement around innovation and about breaking up this one-size-fits-all. So along those lines, let me tell you, as Jay teamed me up so well, about our lab schools. Well, let me start with charter schools first. And I know we have got one of our 7 great charter schools in Virginia. And again, you all know this. Virginia is so far behind on where we are in being a charter school friendly state compared to, again, all of our neighboring states, not let alone across the country. And so we have now made a commitment to redo our charter, as much as we can by law, our charter school processes. And so Aimee Guidera, who is one of the nation's leading thinkers and doers around choice, he comes to us from Arizona, has been building and redoing our entire charter school process. So my ask of you is, if you are in a place where you think you have a school board that would be friendly to this, talk to me, call me, because we want you to get a charter school application in, because we now have a new process and we think that we have a moment to open more charter schools in Virginia. So please, on this case, we need your voice as well, and we need you to work at your local school board level on that. And let me close by talking about lab schools. This was something that the governor announced early on. It was his first press conference he did as governor, was announcing that we were going to open 20 lab schools. So what's a lab school? Lab schools, we define it is a partnership between a higher education institution in Virginia, I think it can be a public or private, 4-year or 2-year school, that partners with the local school division and the community around that school, employers, foundations, nonprofits, to work together to build a school that meets the needs of their community. In the last 3 years, we now have opened 15 of these schools. They're up and running. And so it gives me goosebumps. 6 of those have students in them right now, and they're all oversubscribed, or they're full and wait list for next year. And we have 9 more that will be opening up in September. They range from HEALS, which is the Southwest HEALS, which is a medical preparation school in Southwest that is being built to meet the healthcare industry shortages that they have in Southwest, to a space and aeronautics school on the Eastern Shore, where we know that one of our rising sectors out there is shooting things into space. And they cannot attract the workforce that they need because of the school system. And they also have all these kids who believe that the only way forward is to work in a chicken processing plant or selling chicken nuggets as a local fast food. And what they're saying is we want to invest in this community, partner with NASA, with the spaceport, and create new opportunity for the schools, the students, the families, and also to attract people to this region. So this is a win-win opportunity. And you know what's happening? The haters for this said originally, this is all about tearing down public education. This is all about privatizing education. And we said, how is it possible we put $100 million into the budget to support these schools? How is it by bringing private companies and their resources and their partnerships? How is that about taking resources out of public schools? This is about, we have over half of our 131 school divisions working on one of these schools. Why? Because teachers want to work in a school where they are valued, they are excited, they are building something that they want to be part of, and that their families want to be part of it too. And so it's that kind of energy that we're seeing infused across our education system, whether it be choices within public schools, our charters in these lab schools, in our governor schools, or whether it's in our private schools as well. And we need every family to have that opportunity to choose what works for their child. So I just want to say thank you for what you're doing, for coming out on a Saturday and using your voice. And I encourage you to use your voice more at the local level, at our school board meetings. Come down to Richmond. I'd love to have you all come and testify because it changes hearts, it changes minds, it changes votes when you all show up. So thank you.